Hello everyone. Well, I thought I'd make this video a quick runner-up to the reload of the resolution of a former idealist, because I've had a lot of questions from people, and I think that it's necessary that I answer them at this point. And then we'll get along with some of the other issues that are happening at the moment. Pardon the sunglasses, I'm looking right into the sun. Been out at the golf course again, had a lot of time to think and stretch out, and still not on par. That's going to take a lot of work. My swing is getting better though, for those of you who have helped me and given me some advice. Well, yeah, resolution of a former idealist, reposting that, re-uploading it, because that really does say it all. I suppose it sounds a little pessimistic, but I don't want to give anybody some reason to not prepare. And that's really why I did that again. Things are not really any better. You know, we've got some folks there in the Congress that are trying to stand up and stop some things, get us back on the constitutional course, but this thing is so far entrenched the other way that I don't see it recuperating. And I apologize for that attitude, but you know, the corruption runs so deep. About the only way, you know, when you have an animal that is diseased, about the only thing left for you to do is to put it down. And even in the Constitution, it gives us a prerogative that when the government no longer serves the interests and the liberty of the people, that it's the right of the people to get rid of that government and to start anew. Now, of course, the government's not going to go along with that. You know, the people that are in power aren't going to do that because they've learned to manipulate the system. And when I say get rid of the government that's bad, what I'm really saying is that we go back to the principles of the Constitution. Of course, I think you all know that. And that anyone that doesn't follow those is out. But at any rate, while I see some improvements in some areas, remember folks, there are a lot of things out there that are still happening. Yes, you can look forward to Jesus saving you. I mean, I certainly hope on that. But at the same time, I know I have to do all that I can do. And that's why I say the things that I do to everyone that I speak with. Because you still have to make the preparations for yourself in one way or another. So things are very difficult. They're going to get worse. And I think you all know about all this stuff that's happening, and I'm going to cover some of that in a minute. But I think it's necessary that I not paint a rosy picture. So you're not going to find me doing that. There are too many danger signs. It's like being in the jungle. You know, you can't even see everything that's dangerous around you. And again, it's not to be pessimistic or alarmist. It's just the fact of the matter. So make preparations. You know, that's always been my mantra, really. Prepare for the worst that can possibly happen, and let's hope that it doesn't. I won't say any more about that, but I wanted to bring it up. Okay, a lot of things happening. First and foremost, I wanted to bring this thing up with Stewart Rhodes and Oath Keepers. You know, they're starting an A-team, civilian A-team kind of organization. I don't remember the exact name of it now, and pardon me, guys of Oath Keepers, that I've forgotten that. One of the things about being on the golf course, you know. But the idea of having a civilian team offering itself, you know, getting the militias, the true militias started, not the National Guard, not militias that are just of a group of people who want to do it, but state-sponsored and regulated militias. You know, in other words, people with their private arms that train to help their communities in case of a disaster or in case of an invasion, you know, whatever, those types of things. They bring their own private arms to assist the local sheriff or whomever to repel those difficulties, those criminals, be they governmental or, you know, the standard criminal. So I saw that on Oath Keepers, and not that my endorsement means much, but that is so right track. That is, I don't mean right wing. I mean, it is on the right track. That's exactly right. And so I'm really happy to see that going on. and I endorse it wholeheartedly, and I hope you folks do too. It goes back to the very basic concepts of the right to keep and bear arms and the right of the people to protect their liberties, individually as well as collectively. Okay, but you can't have a collective liberty without an individual liberty. I mean, that makes no sense. So any interpretation of the Second Amendment to say that it doesn't guarantee the individual right to keep and bear arms is ignoring, first of all, the intent of the Founding Fathers, and it's well written in all of their papers, and secondly, the right of individual self-defense. So anyway, enough of that. I'm just really happy to see Oath Keepers do that. Obamacare, of course, is, there's a big argument on that right now. You know that the government shut down, supposedly. No matter how much you shut down the government, there's always too much of it. So basically, Obamacare is going to happen one way or the other, and you know all of the pitfalls of that. It's going to interfere in your life to such a degree that the rest of our liberties, whatever we've had, right to privacy, right to, whatever, even your sexual activity is now going to be open to the government. This is absurd. I mean, it's really gone too far. But it's there, and a lot of us are just not going to participate. We're just not, and I'm just telling you right now, there's no way. Okay, there is no way. Too many people are going to be hurt by this, and if we don't stand up and say no. The IRS, enforcing it, the IRS, oh boy, no, you guys are evil. You are, okay? You're just evil. If you enforce this thing, if you do this thing, what you do regularly in the IRS is bad enough, but this is going to be over the top. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Back to the DC shooting. You remember I said I wasn't sure if it was a false flag. There's been a lot of conjecture on this based on really evidence that's circumstantial, but I think all of the factors are there without the proof. Do you know what I mean? The guy had a security clearance, secret. He was ex-military. He was on psychotropic drugs for treatment. He had access to the installation, and he's talked about hearing these voices and things, all classic symbols of mind control, like on MK Ultra, just like the Unabomber and some of those. Certainly, at least the Patsy, like in the Boston bombings. So my estimation of the situation, and I don't have any proof, I haven't spent a lot of time on this, but just looking at all the circumstantial evidence that's there, I'd say that there was a hit that was planned, and that there were multiple shooters, just like the original complaint came out. And that's about the only way you can do it, because local agents at the Naval Yard are armed. You've got NCIS, you've got the Shore Patrol, the military police, the civilian police, all sorts of things. But then you have some other telltale. In other words, they would have been able to defend themselves unless there were planned multiple shooters in a coordinated, well-executed military type of attack. Okay, and this Alexis guy was just the fall dude, as they always are. Now there's some other things that are really important. Somebody gave the DC Capitol Police SWAT team an order to stand down. I guess it was in their chain of command, but that probably came from somewhere else. The point is, a 20-man team wasn't very far away, about a mile. There were apparently 4 of them back at the Capitol, four individuals at the Capitol, and the rest of the team, 20 of them, I guess, were about within a mile. And they were preparing. They were actually involved in responding, and of course they were told to stand down. The team leader of that group has gone public. I guess he went to several places and finally went to the BBC, and still had some problems, and so then he went to InfoWars. And I don't really know where that is right now, but that's a telltale sign that they're upset. We also had the situation with the ATF being told to stand down, and I guess some of those guys are complaining as well that they could not get involved. So a lot of things that are at question here. What the motivation was, I'm not sure yet. As you probably all know, there's some indications that these people were involved somehow, the victims I'm talking about, were somehow involved in a possible operation to arrest certain individuals in the government. That's what I've heard, but I have no proof of any of that, and I'm not really sure of the circumstances. But I think all of the other information shows that there's something very questionable going on there. Certainly, as usual, the government standard line, storyline is not true. On its surface, that's easy to tell. A 6-year-old could tell that. And I also understand that the mass shooting in Kenya has something to do with Obama's relative there, Odinga, I think is his name, and that it's probably political. You know, these shootings are designed to cause stabilization problems, prove that the government can't protect you, and also, of course, give Al-Qaeda and its affiliates a chance. It's like I talked about junkyard dogs before. Do you know when a police officer trains a dog? Do you know what the dog's reward is? To bite something. Usually, you know, somebody in a protective suit, or a criminal that they let the dog go on. The reward is the bite. Seems like to me they're treating Al-Qaeda like that kind of a dog. The reward is they get to do mayhem and murder. It's pretty obvious to me. But anyway, apparently the Kenyan government knew something was coming down. Big story, big story. Seymour Hersh, of course, has said he's a two-time Pulitzer Prize winner journalist, and he says that he has enough evidence to show that the 9/11, that the Osama bin Laden raid was almost nearly an entire fabrication. And of course, we've had the families of SEAL Team 6 try to go public and try to get some of this information out. And they're not really saying that the bin Laden raid was falsified. Some of them might be. I haven't heard anything lately, but certainly the demise, the deaths of all of those SEAL Team 6 members and other service members in that helicopter in Afghanistan. So at any rate, Mr. Hersh says that yes, there is evidence to suggest that, not just to suggest, but to prove that the Osama bin Laden raid was an entire fabrication and a lie. You know, that whole thing about all those people that got court-martialed saying that there was no evidence that a burial at sea took place, first of all, to keep them quiet, and second of all, no, wait a minute, second of all, a Muslim being buried at sea is somehow following the Quran? Not unless he died at sea, and that's not what happened. Okay? It wasn't Osama bin Laden. Of course, as we said, he was dead long ago. We can expect, I think, that there are going to be some big problems in not just the way the budget is going now with the government, but, you know, I talked a little while ago in a video about the Chinese firing a submarine missile off the coast of LA, and this was in 2010 if I'm not mistaken. And you know, we've had all these other things to do with the Chinese, their large war gaming with the Russians. You know, it's really interesting. You know, I don't think it's just because of what was going on in Syria, because we've had some real close associations with the Chinese. We helped them to get the Panama Canal. We've given them all these ports in the United States. You know, there's more going on here than what meets the eye. It looks like they're enemies of our government, but in fact, I think that they're in the same game. At least it's looking like that. Certainly, if this government, if the petrodollar fails, which it's going to do, okay, and we see major economic upheaval in this country, how soon, I don't know. Some people say like next month, some are saying 5 or 10 years. I really don't know. I'm not an economist. All I know is all the preparations by the government show that there are some serious problems. The Chinese are here, as I said before. They already are. And Russian troops are here too, despite what was going on there in the Middle East. Okay, they just are. We were spotting them, what, 4 or 5 months ago? So they're here. When this thing could come down, I don't know. But it could happen. Not just them, of course. Germans, Norwegians, Mexicans. There were all these troops that we saw before. So anyway, there are some problems that we still have to look forward to, if you can put it that way. Well, I think that's enough for now. You know, I could go on and on and on, and you know I'm kind of long-winded and verbose anyway. I'm going to bring Brand Thornton back. And he's going to talk a little bit more about this entire thing with the petrodollar and what it means as far as the government is concerned and the Federal Reserve. So I hope to do that right quick here, okay, not long after this is up. Might even be put up at the same time as this video. Okay, not a whole lot of information again. I know there's some repetition in Resolution of a Former Idealist, but I felt that it was important to let you know that we are really up against a serious enemy here, a spiritual and a physical enemy, and we have to understand that this system that we have, will probably not survive it. Okay, this governmental system, this world as we have it now. What I mean, not the destruction of the earth as a planet. I'm not talking about that. I don't believe that's going to happen. Okay, the return of Jesus, if you believe in that, or whatever cosmic event that's similar to that, it is going to change the paradigm in the world, the way we do business, literally the economy, and the way we treat each other. And hopefully that's a part of that, if not a great deal of it, comes from individuals who feel the swelling of this spirituality in their hearts. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit more.